This is as real as it gets with real Cat Williamson of it all. So if you don't like emotion and vulnerability, then just go away. This is not the place for you. Those of you that know me and the kids really, really well know that I have had a really tumultuous relationship with my father for the last 50-something years. That being said, once Zach came along, a lot of things changed with me. In April of 2009, I had to be removed from my family home in front of my children. I had to be taken to go over 1,000 miles away from my home to finally start waking the fuck up. I was already in the process of preparing to start talking and rising above my past and all of the people in it that had hurt me and my children. And Zach served a very specific purpose, and I now know that. I now see, if it wasn't for him, I know I wouldn't be here anymore. He was like the anchor for me and Gia, and for Christian too, because he gave me and my daughter a stable environment to live in. He gave us unconditional and insurmountable amounts of love and acceptance. I mean, I was a lot. He had a lot to take on with me and my kids and my journey before him, just as I had a lot to take on with him. It's just that what happened with me and Zach is that it was like, first it was my turn, and then it was his turn. And by the time we got to his turn, he was just so worn out from the battles that he'd fought on his own with his childhood that he couldn't do it anymore. That being said, within minutes of knowing that my husband took his own life, I was able to forgive him for things that he had done to me and my daughter that some of you will never understand. I believe that the devil moved into my husband's head in the end, and there was a spiritual war going on with him that it was just incredulous, actually. But the thing is I knew who he was in his heart. So when I say that it was easy for me to forgive him for what he did to us in the end, I mean that. And with that, I had to forgive the devil himself. And I've written those words before, but I'm telling you now that you just don't understand. You will never be able to understand unless you know. And it's not just the forgiveness with Zach. The biggest piece of forgiveness that I've been able to offer anyone was myself. Because I have to be honest with you, I have done some pretty shitty things on my own. I'm a good human being, but I'm not perfect, and I have really screwed some things up in my life. I mean, I've told you guys before, there are still a few secrets that I have, and the things that I have had to forgive myself for, and the things that I've had to be able to make peace with, they were unforgivable, and that's the truth. So, this last year and a half, I've been preaching about forgiveness and grace, and all the while, it's like I have just a grudge against my father for things that I'm telling you that if I was able to forgive my husband and forgive myself, that I should have been able to say those things to my father a long time ago. But here's what. I've been a big hypocrite this last year and a half. And I'm really ashamed of that because I've been presenting something to all of you, or in the meantime, like, I can forgive everything and anyone, but there's this one person, he's my father, and I could forgive him, but I couldn't let some things go and really, 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 really clean the slate with him once and for all. Christian and my father have also struggled. It feels as though Christian has taken my place in my father's life since I removed myself from my family for the most part a long time ago for my own mental health's sake and my daughter's as well. It's not that we don't love our family, it's just that we can't be in the presence of toxicity or negative energy or negative anything anymore. It's how we survive. We have to excise certain things out of our lives and people because we had to take care of ourselves and we were allowed to do that. But in the meantime, Christian and my dad have a struggle, and we see that he is me now and the struggle with my father. But here's what happened. Christian called me in the middle of the night and he was in tears and he said, "Mom, I really need you to forgive Grandpa, and I need you to do it really quickly because I don't think he's going to be around much longer." He said, "Mom, I want you to remember something. You just have to remember that somebody hurt him too, and that's the truth. My father was raised by a very, very, very sick woman. And this is the thing about forgiveness and forgiving human beings and showing grace to people that hurt you. I believe that there are hurt people that hurt people. But then I also believe there are people who are calculating, manipulative, evil people who are here from another place, their primary purpose is to hurt other people. I've known those people. You can call them narcissists, sociopaths. These are people who, it's the lowest of the low, the people who have no conscience, the people who want to just hurt people for pleasure and sport. And you know that they exist among us. In that regard, and I've known people like that. I know some people like that. I've been affected by people like that. And when it comes to that category of a person, there too is a certain component of forgiveness that I have. But for the most part, I just say to myself, those people, they walk among us. And and when you get into a tangle with one of them, you have to forgive them, because that's what God tells us that we have to do. But just like I forgave, as I said earlier, the devil himself for the things that he allowed to happen to me and my daughter last year. And my dad is an evil person. And he's not a cold, calculating, manipulative human being. He's just a person who is really, really, really hurt by his mother, who I do believe was an evil human being. I do believe that with every shred, and I could be wrong. I've forgiven her for all the things that she did to me. I've forgiven her for the things that she did to my father, which then trickled down to me and mine. Just as I've forgiven Zach's mother, his mother, for the terrible, horrible, awful things that she did to my husband. In good conscience, I believe that she was an evil human being to do the things that she did to my husband. And so I've forgiven her too, but this is my point. When I'm writing my blog, I'll think of a song or a topic that I want to write about, and then I'll mark it down, and if I can't write it then, I'll come back to it. So on January 27th, 2009, one of my favorite songs in the whole world is by an artist called Stephen Curtis Chapman. It's called "I'm Free." I heard that song years and years and years ago, and I've wanted so badly to blog that I'm free, and I wanted to say this last year and a half that with everything that's happened, I have freed myself from the toxic web that had been entangling me. And I had done that for the most part, with the exception of my dad. So when Christian called me a couple of days ago and said, Mom, you have to forgive Grandpa for everything that he's done, I realized that the reason that I couldn't write that blog and I couldn't post it 11 years ago, 12 years ago, was because if I had published it, I would have been lying to myself and everybody else, and it wasn't time for me to really say that I'm free. As of this moment, it's March 14th, 2021. I am free. I have forgiven everything and everyone. I've forgiven my father, and I don't know if he's ever going to see this or read what I wrote, but I just want all of you to know that I apologize. I apologize for being a hypocrite. And Dad, if you ever see this, I'm sorry for all the terrible things I've said about you. You sure can be an asshole sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. But I can too. And I know that you're not an evil human being. I know that someone hurt you really badly. There's no way someone can walk around the face of this planet after what Grandma did to you and all your brothers. There's no way anybody could survive in that capacity without being a little fucked up, because mothers aren't supposed to do those kind of things to their children. Mothers are supposed to love their children. And you didn't get what you needed from Grandma. And I'm really, really sorry about that, because you deserved better. You do have a good heart, Dad. I'm going to forgive myself for all the terrible things that I've said about you. I'm going to let it go. And I wish you well, and I sure do hope that you'll forgive me for my part in all of this. And no matter what happens, going forward, I will never say a bad word about you again. This war is over. It is over. It is done. As long as I live, and as long as you live, I'm only going to remember the good things. I'm going to try and take all of the best things about you, and that's what I'm going to remember. Just like I have with Zach. All of the things that Zach did wrong, I'm leaving them out, and I'm only holding on to the good things. And that's what I'm going to do with you too. Everybody makes mistakes, and unless you are a sociopath or a really bad person, nobody deserves to be hurt the way some of us hurt each other. Everybody deserves forgiveness and grace. This last year and a half, there's been this pit in the bottom of my stomach. I couldn't figure out what it was. And after I wrote that blog, and I wrote that, and I put all of that out in the cosmos for my dad to hopefully read someday, it was gone. But it needed to be said, because I do know that my dad reads all my social media, and I really hope that he reads this, because if something happens to him before he does, and he doesn't ever know what I really, he's not taking my phone calls, and he's blocked me from his social media, so I have no other way to reach out to him. So hopefully he'll see this. He deserves a public apology for some of the terrible things that I've said about him in anger. Because again, my dad can be an asshole, but so can I. Have you met me? Okay, everyone, that's it. I love all of you. Go forgive someone. Just be a good person. And don't be a hypocrite like me. Because that isn't light killing the dark. That's just bullshit. But now I'm like, now I'm really gonna kill the dark. That's it. Bye, everyone. It's me, Kat.